Hi, I'm Ben Parsons.
And I'm D'Angelo Stevenson.
And it's week 3 in the NFL, and we're going to talk about 3 matchups in the NFC this week. The first matchup we'll talk about is the Battle of Pennsylvania, as the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing the Philadelphia Eagles. D, what do you think is going to happen in this game?
Well, this is another chance for us to watch Carson Wentz go to work. He's playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers, whose defense is a little mediocre, but the Pittsburgh Steelers is also on a roll. But I'm going to have to go with the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game because Carson Wentz, he's much of the underdog. He's been playing well for the past 2 weeks, and he has the Philadelphia Eagles on a tear right now. What about you, Ben?
Carson Wentz has been phenomenal this year so far, although he's only played 2 last-place teams in the NFL to start his career, and I don't think he's going to have the same effect against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their defense is underrated, I believe, and their offense is just incredible. I think Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger and D'Angelo Williams are all going to have great games this week, and I'm going to take the Steelers by a wide margin in this one. The next game we'll discuss today is the Vikings at the Panthers. D, who do you think is going to take this game?
Well, the Minnesota Vikings had a big blow with the loss of Adrian Peterson with the torn meniscus, and they picked up Ronnie Hillman, the running back from the Denver Broncos a year ago. The Carolina Panthers had a great game last week, and I think Cam Newton is still on a hot roll. Luke Kuechly is doing great for that defense, so I'm going to have the Carolina Panthers take that game.
Okay, D, I see where you're coming from, but I also think you need to focus on the Minnesota Vikings defense. Their defense has been stellar this year. They had 2 touchdowns against the Titans week 1, and they limited the Packers in week 2, and I believe they're going to hold Cam Newton in check in this game. I mean, that's a tough task for any team, but I have faith in that defense. I think it's going to be a closer game than most people expect because Sam Bradford did really well in that system last week, throwing to Diggs, and he also has Patterson he can throw to, and I think Jared McKinnon is going to step up real well too, but I'm going to take the Vikings in a close matchup. The final game we'll talk about today is the New York Giants and the Washington Redskins. D, what do you think is going to transpire in this game?
Well, when you look at this is an NFC East battle. We know in the past that these are some relatively close games. You look at the weapons in the New York Giants. You got Odell Beckham Jr., the return of Victor Cruz, Sterling Shepard, the rookie, Jennings at the running back position, and obviously the elite Eli Manning. But what the fans are actually looking for is Odell Beckham versus Josh Norman too. Which is going to be a good battle, but I have the New York Giants taking this game. And what about you, Ben?
I agree with you that the matchup between Josh Norman and OBJ is going to be nothing short of spectacular this week, but I also think you have to focus on the Washington Redskins. They're 0-2 and in danger of becoming 0-3, and I think they'll play like it because they're not going to be able to recover after an 0-3 start this year. I think that Kirk Cousins is going to finally look like that quarterback he looked in the final 9 games in that season, and I think that he's going to have Jordan Reed open in the middle, and he'll be able to hit Deshaun Jackson a couple times deep in this game. So I think the Redskins are going to take it. All right, I'm going to send it on over to Nick Veronesi and Joe McLean for the AFC preview.
All right, thanks, Ben. So now we're going to talk about the AFC, and we're going to start with the Tennessee Titans and the Oakland Raiders. So what do you have on this game?
Well, in the beginning of the season, I actually thought this is going to go very differently. The Oakland Raiders, I thought, were going to be a contender for the AFC West, and I thought the Titans were going to have another difficult rebuilding season. And obviously there's still a lot of time left, but the Raiders' defense has gotten destroyed the first 2 weeks by the Saints and the Falcons. And the Titans' offense is actually looking very, very promising. You got the dynamic duo of DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry, and also Marcus Mariota. He looked impressive last week when he drove them down the field for the game winner against the Lions. So I think the Titans have a solid chance of beating the Raiders at home this week. Do you have any thoughts about what the Raiders can do?
Yeah, and I agree with you with their defense. I really have not been that impressed in either of their games. The Falcons, they just ran up and down the field, and it was a pretty high-scoring game. And so the Raiders, I agree, they just been kind of disappointing because I thought they could, make a run for the division. Maybe the playoffs. That still might be in play. We'll have to see. But Tennessee hasn't been great, but I think they have shown a lot of improvement over the past few years because they have been one of the weaker teams in the league for a long time. But I think it'll be a close game, but the Titans, just like last week against the Lions, will pull out.
The next game we're going to cover is a heavyweight battle at Paul Brown Stadium as the Denver Broncos take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe, how do you think this game's going to turn out?
Yeah, I think we have another close AFC game here. Two very talented teams. We all know Denver has that great defense like they've had for years. The Bengals have their quarterback, Andy Dalton. You know, he always produces solid numbers. But I think the home field advantage is really going to help the Bengals. So I think it'll be a low-scoring game, defensive game, but Bengals will pull it out and Broncos will suffer their first loss of the season.
One thing that I noticed with the Bengals over the past couple weeks is that their offensive line has been torn up.
Mm-hmm.
Against the New York Jets week 1, Dalton was sacked 7 times, and they needed a field goal with a minute left in the fourth quarter just to pull that game out. And the Jets and the Broncos, they both have two good defenses, but the Denver's defense is definitely a lot better than the Jets. So because of that, I think the Bengals are going to have a very hard time beating the Broncos. Even though the offense for Denver is weak, I think they'll be able to pull it out with the strong defense that they have.
Mm-hmm. And our last matchup of the week is going to take place at Arrowhead Stadium with the New York Jets and the Kansas City Chiefs. So, what do you have on this one?
Well, like the Bengals, the Jets have had their own issues with their defense, and a lot of that has come through their secondary. Last week against the Buffalo Bills, Darrelle Revis got lit up with an 84-yard touchdown pass to Marquise Goodwin. The Jets were fortunate enough to get out of that game with the win, but their defense was definitely exposed in that game. And even though the Kansas City Chiefs have had a little bit of difficulty, they were very clutch in Week 1 against the Chargers, and I think they'll be able to take advantage of not only the weak offense of the Jets, but also the shaky secondary over the first 2 weeks. And the home field advantage at Arrowhead Stadium will definitely help them pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you everywhere. That Jets defense really is concerning, especially last week against the Buffalo Bills. Like you said, they were just lit up and just exposed in every way. And the Chiefs, they're always a tough team. Kansas City is a tough place to play, but I think the Chiefs should win convincingly this week.
That'll do it for our Week 3 preview. Thank you and enjoy the games. For Capital City Sports, I'm Nick Veronesi.
I'm Joe McLean.
And thank you for watching.